Great Northwoods to the Rockmount Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, an RV was destroyed in a fire yesterday at Two Narrows Campground in Trenton. We'll have the details on that coming up. Plus, Volunteer Maine's 40th Annual Leadership Conference included an announcement of a new grant to support statewide volunteering efforts. And Penquis, along with Heart of Maine United Way, hosted their Fill the Bus Backpack Drive. We'll bring you more on that as well. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop. Craig Colson is off for the day. We'll have those stories and much more coming up in the show, but as always, we thank you for joining us. Now for the weather, we'll have sunny skies and pretty hot temperatures throughout the day today. Let's start off this morning by getting a first check of our forecast. Devin Biggs joins us now.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go as we get things started out there this morning. High pressure continues to keep us quiet out there after we saw some gusty winds yesterday. It will be a nice one, although hot, as we'll see high temperatures today in the low 90s. Humidity levels will stay down for now. Later on this week, that will be a different story. As we do zoom things out, some precipitation further down toward the south and also to the west, but for us, it is nice and quiet out there. Futurecast moving forward today, we will have some clouds further down toward the south and west. Some of those may skirt Bangor, but again, we'll go with the partly cloudy sky today and again later on tonight. So for today, here's what we're looking at. Low 90s out there under a partly cloudy sky. It will be a hot one with that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour, so not much of a wind out there today. Later on tonight, we have low 60s out there, partly cloudy with the wind overall looking nice and calm. The hourly forecast moving forward, lots of sunshine, some clouds out there with temperatures making it into the 90s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Janessa?
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, for at least the third time in recent weeks, authorities say a refrigeration unit is likely to blame for a fire that destroyed an RV. When crews arrived at the Narrows 2 campground in Trenton on Tuesday morning, they found a large recreational vehicle burning. The Trenton Fire Department says that all of the people were able to get out safely before firefighters arrived, and no one was injured there. They say mutual aid from Ellsworth, Lemoyne, and Hancock was automatically called because of the size and complexity of the current RV. They were able to contain the fire and prevent it from damaging nearby campsites, and they had to put it out, or they had it out in about 30 minutes. Officials say the fire started from a malfunction in the RV's refrigeration unit.
Just be diligent. Fires can happen at any time. Practice your escape plans. Have a meeting place. In this case, it was a small unit, but it had a structure fire. It's always important to talk about that. It's one of those things we don't expect to ever happen. But knowing where, how to get out of your house. Don't go back in after you get out. Have that meeting place. That's probably the most important thing. And always just check your smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms.
Well, meanwhile, one person is dead after a crash in the town of Moscow. It happened a little after 10 a.m. on Route 201 on Monday. 67-year-old Serge Poulin of Quebec was pronounced dead at the scene. Somerset County Sheriff Chief Deputy Michael Mitchell says that an empty tractor-trailer truck hydroplaned in heavy rain and hit Poulin's vehicle. Mitchell says that the crash remains under investigation. Members of the Bangor Rotary Club say that Poulin was on his way to speak with the club when that crash occurred. Well, in other news, the city of Ellsworth is proposing a new RV park. However, not everyone is on board with those plans. Our Sam Miller shares more.
The Ellsworth Planning Board has proposed a new RV park on Bayside Road next to Alton Avenue. The proposed plan includes a 28-site campground for recreational vehicles which would accommodate full RV hookup sites with water and electricity, as well as additional parking for extra vehicles. Locals on Alton Avenue, the street adjacent to the site of the proposed park, have pushed back against it, believing the park would be a disturbance to the neighborhood.
We live in a very quiet, wooded neighborhood, and to have transient residents right by us, transient campers, is going to impede our tranquility and our way of life on this neighborhood.
Kelly Brackett has lived on Alton Avenue since 2017 and says that the community is concerned about traffic, environmental impacts, property values, and overall safety. She clarified that she isn't against the idea of an RV park in general, but believes there are other appropriately zoned areas that would better suit the needs of visiting campers.
And it puts the campers in a closer proximity to amenities and direct routes that can handle large RV traffic and more traffic on the way down to Acadia. It just makes more sense all around for it not to happen here.
Ellsworth City Manager Charlie Pierce says the proposal is going through the planning board, and he aims to make sure that the rights and interests of everyone involved are protected.
Sometimes it can be solved in 1 meeting, 2 meetings, 3 meetings, 4 meetings, like whatever it takes for us to make sure that all voices at the table are being heard, both from the business and the property owners' perspective for this proposal, and also the residents and the communities that live nearby, and trying to create as robust of a process as we can for people to be heard and for the City Council to make their decision, but also giving the Planning Board the independence they need to make their decision based on our current laws and rules.
In Ellsworth, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, Senator Angus King is introducing a bill to help fight mosquito-borne diseases. The Strengthening Mosquito for Safety and Health Act, or SMASH Act, would reauthorize funding for federal mosquito control and public health response efforts. Senator King says, quote, "One of the best parts of living in Maine is being able to spend time outdoors, but the threat of dangerous illnesses from mosquito bites is a real concern. Mosquitoes are more than just a nuisance. They have the potential to transmit dangerous diseases which threaten American public health. Acting to prevent the spread of such diseases is essential to protect the health of Maine people and Americans nationwide." Meanwhile, Brewer Deputy Mayor Bill Kimball has resigned from the City Council. Assistant City Manager Jason Moffitt said that the city received notice of Kimball's resignation on July 29th, effective immediately. Moffitt said Kimball cited increasing work commitments. His departure leaves 4 members on the council now. The City Council plans to address the resulting vacancy at the upcoming meeting on August 11th and determine those next steps. However, Moffitt said it is likely that the council will put the position on the November ballot. A new partnership among Maine's healthcare industry leaders and community colleges is working to expand short-term healthcare training opportunities. The Harold Alphonse Center for the Advancement of Maine's Workforce and Maine's community colleges have been training the state's healthcare workers for decades through short-term work-first training programs. These programs have been expanded in recent years to help address chronic frontline staffing shortages for roles such as medical assistants and emergency medical technicians. This new effort unites healthcare systems, hospitals, and education partners to create training programs designed by industry experts.
Maine's workforce is aging, and the healthcare industry is one of Maine's largest, and employers are struggling to fill positions. And so they're looking to collaborate, and we really need to come together to collectively solve our workforce challenges, in this case through short-term accelerated workforce training strategies.
Short-term programs are typically offered at no cost to students. Last fall, over 3,000 students were enrolled in degree and certificate healthcare programs, a nearly 80% increase since 2019. Well, Volunteer Maine held its 40th annual leadership conference and announced a grant that will support volunteering across the state for the next 3 years. Our Calvin White has more.
Volunteers from multiple industries converged on Augusta for the 40th Maine Volunteers Leadership Conference, with a focus on the local volunteering sector.
The theme for this year is Mainers helping Mainers. The idea that no matter what, wherever you go, whether you're brand new to the state or you've born and raised here in Maine, one thing is absolutely clear: Mainers step up to help Mainers.
She says that vital industries in Maine like conservation, education, food security, and elder care rely heavily on volunteer workforces. Volunteer Maine says their goal is bridging the gap between the people who volunteer, the organizations who need them, and the leadership who makes everything run smoothly.
So in the last few years, we've seen just a general more interest in volunteerism, whether that's organizations trying to grow their volunteer programs or just the general community being interested in volunteering again.
Some attendees were new to Maine, but excited to learn how to best help the community.
I think something that today really offers, at least for us kind of being newer to the volunteering community in Maine, is seeing kind of what's out there, how people are collaborating with one another and engaging with different groups.
It's such a rural state that in a lot of ways communities are more isolated, but in my experience living here now for a year, it almost has more capacity in that way. It's such a strong community sense.
The organization's 40th straight year wasn't the only cause for celebration. Volunteer Maine also announced that a new 3-year grant of over $300,000 annually will help them fund even more training.
We're not going to create anything new. We're going to try to support what already exists so that they could do their work even better.
Anyone interested in finding volunteer opportunities should visit servemaine.org. In Augusta, Calvin White, ABC 7, Fox 22 News.
Well, the time now is 6:10. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, we'll learn all about the town of Unity and their historical society from the 1800s. But first, let's take another look at the forecast. For today, very nice day ahead, partly cloudy and hot, high temperatures around 91. Overnight tonight, partly cloudy with temperatures dipping down to around 60. And for tomorrow, partly cloudy and hot as well, highs around 94. We'll be right back.
Troy Jackson bragged about being one of Graham Plattner's earliest supporters. When the news of Plattner's Nazi tattoo came out, Jackson stood with Plattner. When Plattner blamed women for getting raped because they get drunk, Jackson stood by Plattner. And when the media reported Plattner was violent toward women, Jackson stood again with Plattner.
I want to say thank you very much to Troy.
Don't be fooled by Troy Jackson. He's another phony we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
I never get the flu.
My kids don't need more shots.
I don't have time.
We're all healthy.
No matter how you build your excuses, the flu can blow your house down.
I can't believe I used up all my sick time.
I missed a week of school during finals.
Now my baby has it because of me.
The hospital?
Keep your foundation strong. Vaccinate.
Northern Light Health Eastern Maine Medical Center has earned some national recognition. U.S. News and World Report is highlighting the hospital's commitment to clinical excellence, patient care, and community service in its 2026-27 Best Hospital rankings. The hospital got a high-performing specialty badge in cardiology and heart vascular surgery. They received the Best Regional Hospital badge in 11 types of care, as well as Best Regional Hospital for Community Access Medallion. Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center President Ava Collins says, quote, achieving high-performing status across multiple cardiac procedures and conditions while also being honored for community access underscores our mission to deliver exceptional care close to home for the people of Maine. And with school right around the corner, local organizations are teaming up to ease the financial burdens of back-to-school shopping, one backpack at a time. Yesterday, Penquis and Heart of Maine United Way were outside of Walmart in Bangor for a Fill the Bus backpack drive. Penquis's annual We've Got Your Back school supply drive encourages community members to donate backpacks and essential school supplies to help families out in the Penobscot, Piscataquis, and Knox counties. Organizers say the donations are going to 1,200 students this year, and more are on the wait list.
The needs are just really great. They're competing for gas, food, medicine, and sometimes there just isn't enough to get those backpacks or school supplies. So this is just one way the community can really help and ease the burden for some of these families.
They will be accepting donations between now and August 13th. Supplies can be dropped off at any Penquis location, and donations can also be made online at penquis.org. Well, one of the oldest homes in Unity is full of historic memorabilia from the town. It was built back in the 1800s and gifted to the Unity Historical Society decades later. Our Jody Hersey takes us there.
Unity isn't near anything, but it's not that far from anything either. We're halfway between Bangor and Augusta.
The town of Unity, just like its name, has been uniting people for years. It's where thousands travel to attend the Common Ground Fair every fall. It's also home to Unity Raceway, a local attraction. And this area is where Unity College was founded and operated up until the campus closed in 2020.
It has that small town feel and it operates like a small town.
The history of this tight-knit community is housed at the Unity Historical Society on Depot Street.
This is one of the older homes in Unity. It was built in 1813 with bricks that were made on site.
Like other historical societies in Maine, the Unity Historical Society needs more members.
I used to be one of the youngest members, now I'm one of the older.
Both the Carmel and Prospect Historical Societies also see the need for more involvement from the next generation.
I like to say to the younger people, today is your history.
It's so important to know where you came from, where you're going, who shaped you. You're not seeing that in schools now, in the civics classes, and it needs to be the real history for kids to learn so that they can get involved somehow.
Many agree having places to visit and see Maine's history in person is important to keeping our heritage alive.
You lose something if you don't have the physical objects to look at or to touch or to be able to see and to know the history.
In Unity, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, the time now is 6:16. After the break, new details on the armed man arrested at President Trump's golf course in Southern California. We'll have more on that coming up. Plus, experts are saying that 2026 could possibly be a heat record globally. Those stories and more straight ahead on Good Morning Maine.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
People ask me all the time, are those commercials really true? Does Lowry & Associates really get all of those clients, all of those big settlements? Yes, we do. We really have gotten millions of dollars for Mainers hurt by commercial vehicles. And the insurance companies know when you call the twos, we're going to fight for you. And you know what else is true? I really am standing on top of this big truck.
Hurt by a big truck? Call the twos. We win for you.
Let's play Millionaire.
Famous friends are in the hot seat, and they're looking to win big money for charity.
What's an ophthalmologist? That's eye. That's not bug, is it?
That sounded pretty sure to me.
Jimmy Kimmel hosts The Emmy-winning Millionaire, tonight on ABC.
When I die, forget the stairway to heaven. I want to ride that house. I want to ride that house. I want to ride that house.
I want to swim there.
Only black people will swim.
Family Feud.
Weekdays at 9 on ABC 7.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings you outstanding breakfasts, lunches, and dinners made from farm-grown fresh ingredients. Dinner specials are available every day. Enjoy our homemade desserts, and above all, bring your appetite to the Farmer's Table in Corinna.
This year is not the hottest year on record yet. Experts are saying that there's still time for 2026 to turn up the heat as global warming joins with forces with an El Nino. Fox News' Ted Linder with more.
Wildfires burning in the western U.S. and Europe, and people all across the globe looking for relief at the water's edge. So far this summer, the world has been experiencing heat waves, wildfires, and warming waters. And if you think it's hot now, the experts are advising don't speak too soon.
2026 so far has been the third warmest year on record through June, but we expect it to get much warmer in the coming months as this very strong El Nino event continues to develop.
Climate experts are now saying 2026 has the potential to become the hottest year on record, beating out 2024. They're pointing to that so-called Super El Nino, which is still brewing in the Pacific. That, coupled with human-caused global warming, could spike temperatures and affect weather around the world. But experts say the fires, heat, and other extremes we're seeing this summer aren't related to the El Nino that's forming in the Pacific now, because the effects aren't expected to be felt for another few months this fall. Experts saying climate change is having the biggest impact.
The driver of the record warmth is climate change in the background, and it's a much larger contribution than El Nino, which is just 1/10 to 2/10 of a degree on top of that long-term trend.
This summer, heat waves have hit hard in places where people aren't used to triple-digit heat, with experts mentioning Europe getting hit back to back.
There's always heat waves somewhere in the world, sometime. But what is very unusual for Europe for this particular year is the frequency and extent of the heat waves.
I'm Ted Lindner, Fox News.
The time now is 6:20. Let's get a full look at our forecast. Meteorologist Devin Biggs is in with the latest.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go. Checking out the wave heights this morning. Not too bad at all, at around 2 feet. According to the buoys, and even farther off towards the north and east, not looking too bad. No advisories along the coast or even inland either. Farther out towards sea, not horrible either, at around 4 to 5 feet. Water temperatures checking on those this morning in the lower to middle 60s. Further off towards the north and east, not too bad either. A little bit cooler and a little bit further off towards the north and east, some 60s and even some 70s. Farther down toward the north, south, and even to the east as well. Meanwhile, on land, nice and quiet outside this morning. The winds have backed off as well, and we will have a lot of sunshine, a few passing clouds today as well. There will be a hot one out there today too, although not as humid out there yet. We will see the humidity levels increasing coming up later on this week. Notice we do have a system across parts of the Midwest this morning. Futurecast for us, we are going to be seeing some clouds passing through the region today. Then later on tonight, we will see a few more clouds approaching later on with an area low pressure not far away, but no precipitation with that at this time. As we head towards your Thursday, sunshine and some clouds as well, still continuing to remain dry. As we do push forward, checking out the muggy meter, again, dew points staying down for now, but gradually increasing later today. Also into Thursday, it's Friday, we really notice the difference with humid air Friday and a Saturday, and the 70s down slightly Sunday, but still up there, and then Monday back into the middle to upper 60s. Already as we move forward toward today, partly cloudy and hot with highs in the low 90s, and that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, low 60s. All right, partly cloudy with the wind overall looking nice and calm. All right, another hot one tomorrow with middle 90s, partly cloudy and that southwest wind at about 5 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast for your Friday. Partly cloudy, a slight chance for a shower or storm with highs in the low 90s. Then middle 80s, we cool off Saturday with a chance for showers and thunderstorms. And then Sunday, showers and thunderstorms with highs in the upper 80s.
Bogies offers a different kind of night out in Bangor, blending a full restaurant with sports simulators, axe throwing, and live music. We have something for everyone. Bogies, a new way to play.
Imagine stepping onto your brand new deck, enjoying all the benefits of your expanded outdoor living space. Hammond Lumber Company can help turn that vision into reality. Visit any of Hammond's expansive showrooms and explore a world of possibilities. The timeless beauty of wood, the resilience of composite, or affordable, durable PVC. Railing options from traditional wood to sleek aluminum and contemporary cable railing. On-site consultation and delivery are available. Get started on your new deck when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
They've got the sharpest pencil in town. Have they just sit around that showroom figuring deals and whittling that old pencil down? They know that if you buy once, you're gonna be back. So instead of buying one, you're buying two, and that's a fact. They've got the sharpest.
So come on down, neighbor. The coffee pot's on and the pencil is sharp. I went to work in the woods after high school. The harder we worked, the more that the companies took from us. That's why we organized. We made them listen. People are doing everything they can right and still cannot get ahead. Susan Collins keeps telling us everything is just fine. Who has she served? She has served Donald Trump. She has served the billionaires. She has served herself. We are getting screwed, and I'm running to change that.
Government That Works PAC's responsible for the content of this ad.
Bogies offers a different kind of night out in Bangor, blending a full restaurant with sports simulators, axe throwing, and live music. We have something for everyone. Bogies, a new way to play.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Well, now to the video of a drone hunting down a food cart vendor, evidence that the tactics of war, whether in Ukraine or Iran, are changing with the times. Here's ABC's Hannah Battah.
Overnight, another deadly attack on Ukraine's capital city. Russia launching ballistic missiles. A residential building collapsing. People trapped under the rubble. Civilians are paying the price on both sides of the war. New video shows a Russian drone appearing to hunt down this defenseless vegetable vendor on a Ukrainian street. The drone tracking his every move. Then it dives down and explodes. The man survived but suffered a concussion and shrapnel wounds. President Zelensky says the video is evidence Russia has gone mad. Earlier this week, a Ukrainian drone plummeted into this crowded beach at a Russian resort, killing 7 people, including 3 children. Ukraine claims Russia shot down that drone and that it never targeted the beach. Ukraine has been striking deeper into Russia, hitting warehouses tied to a company known as Russia's equivalent to Amazon, as drone technology revolutionizes warfare in both Ukraine and Iran. There's growing concern about American stockpiles of air defense missiles.
Sources tell ABC News that after months of war, U.S. stocks of air defense missiles have been significantly depleted, a major concern if this conflict were to escalate once again.
Reuters reports the Pentagon has drained virtually all its supply of long-range precision missiles and nearly half of its Tomahawks. The White House has insisted the military will have what it needs.
In the last 24 hours, the Trump administration has raised hopes for an imminent peace deal with Iran to reopen Strait of Hormuz, and that sent stocks on Wall Street soaring to a new record yesterday. Hannah Battah, ABC News, New York.
We're now learning more about one of the victims injured at the In-N-Out shooting in Idaho. A driver charging his electric taxi and former law enforcement officer who tried to intervene were among the 7 people wounded in the mass shooting at an Idaho fast food restaurant that also left 3 people dead. The attack on Saturday at a new In-N-Out burger in Twin Falls ended when the gunman, identified by police as 24-year-old Chad Williams, shot and killed himself. On Monday, police were still trying to determine why Williams carried out the attack, which happened early in the afternoon in a busy shopping plaza in southern Idaho City. On Tuesday, one of the victim's cousins spoke out about his relative's injury. Shane Class said that his cousin, Stephen Pixley, was driving his motorcycle at the intersection near the restaurant.
It was just right as the light turned green. He put both feet up on the pegs and started to go, and he heard a pop, and he felt his left hand drop to the ground.
Well, Class explains that Pixley then got off the roadway, not knowing exactly what had happened until he got off his bike. Many details about Williams' life were still unknown on Monday, but an initial search of court records in Idaho and in Arizona, where he used to live, did not show any criminal cases matching his name and date of birth. Well, this morning, Amazon is facing a new lawsuit over the drivers who bring packages to your front door. New Jersey is suing, accusing the company of illegally driving down the pay and working conditions of thousands of delivery drivers. According to ABC News, those drivers show up in Amazon vans wearing Amazon vests and carrying boxes with the logo, but most of them don't actually work for Amazon. They work for small contractors, which the company calls delivery service partners. The lawsuit claims those partners are entirely dependent on Amazon to survive and claims the company uses that power to control their routes, their hiring, and their pay while crushing any attempt by workers to unionize. Amazon says that the allegations are not grounded in fact and argues delivery partners are, quote, independent business owners who make their own decisions about hiring, fleet management, and capacity planning, and they choose whether to work with other companies besides Amazon. But the lawsuit claims drivers for Amazon earn substantially less than those at the postal services, UPS, and FedEx. Well, another troubling incident at one of President Trump's golf courses. Police in California announcing the arrest of a man with a gun. Authorities say the suspect also had prohibited ammunition, plus more firearms and a concerning notebook in his home. He was taken into custody just 2 days before the president attended an event last night at that same club. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay.
This morning, new details on the armed man arrested at President Trump's golf course in Southern California. Officials say plainclothed agents reported a suspicious man at Trump National Golf Club in Rancho Palos Verdes Sunday. They say he was spotted walking the property, taking photos and videos, and appearing to monitor security preparations 2 days before the president's planned visit. Authorities detained the suspect, identified as 38-year-old Janine John Taylor. They say they found hollow point ammunition in his pants pocket and a loaded pistol in his vehicle. Also saying a search of his home in Downey, California revealed an illegally modified AR-style rifle, body armor, radio signal devices, and multiple notebooks containing what officials described as concerning statements. The incident comes nearly 2 years after a man was arrested near President Trump's golf course in West Palm Beach, Florida. A Secret Service agent had spotted a rifle pointing out from the bushes while then-candidate Trump was golfing.
Individual in the bush with a gun.
Prosecutors said Ryan Ruth spent weeks planning an assassination attempt, making 17 trips to scope out the course. He was later convicted and sentenced to life in prison.
Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
Well, coming up on the second half of the newscast, a Greenville man is walking a long distance for a very good cause. We'll hear about the journey to Boston as Good Morning Maine continues.
Kirk Fisher is a motorcycle attorney with first responder experience. He protects fellow riders and those in danger, fighting fires and fighting for your rights. Experienced, determined, and dedicated. Iron Horse Motorcycle Lawyers. Look for motorcycles, or Kurt Fisher will be looking for you.
ABC 7, Fox 22. The place we call home, telling Maine stories wherever you roam. From sunrise shores to forests of pine, hard work, strong hearts, values that shine. From old towns to harbors, back roads to ocean blue. Neighbors helping neighbors in all that we do. Through storms and clear skies, day after day, we're here with the stories that matter in Maine. From mountains to sea, standing strong and true. This is Maine, this is home on ABC 7, Fox 22.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
The center for the Spurs is famously one of the most unique players in basketball history. But now look out Wemby. A fresh new prospect is drawing comparisons to him. His name is Jagmeet. He's 7'4", and the internet immediately jumped on giving him a special nickname. Here's ABC's Danny New.
Wembanyama against Robinson goes inside.
These past NBA Finals, viewers were blown away by 7'4" French phenom Victor Wembanyama, a.k.a. Wemby. But as we head into the school year, millions online are now marveling at the 7'4" prospect nicknamed Indian Wemby.
Indian Wemby. Do you like that nickname?
Yeah, that's a cool nickname.
18-year-old Jagmeet Singh here is heading into his senior year at Victory Rock Prep in Florida after coming over to the States a few years ago from his home in northern India.
On a scale of 1 to 10, Jagmeet, how easy is it for you to dunk?
I would say a 10. I just need to jump a little bit.
Growing up in a country that prefers cricket, Jagmeet only picked up basketball at 14 years old and got recruited while he was playing at a park. Not before long, he was competing for India's youth national team and eventually received an offer to come play in the U.S. As his mother, Manmeet, told me through a translator, it was hard to send her son away for the first time, but their family was incredibly proud. Jagmeet said the transition was tough at first and he got used to it, but earlier this year, tragedy struck when his father, Jaswinder, suddenly passed away after suffering a heart attack. Manmeet said she knew how important this basketball dream was to Jagmeet's father, and she made the tough decision to tell him to stay in America and keep working on the court.
Do you think of him when you're playing now?
Yeah. Every time. He just wanted me to get his name up, get India's name up, make him proud.
Well, an Indian-born player has never played in the NBA, but when you ask Jagmeet about making history for his family and for his homeland...
Yeah, the ultimate dream is the NBA, but I gotta reach the college level and perform there yet, so one step at a time.
Jagmeet is already getting attention from colleges like Stanford and DePaul, but like he said, one step at a time, one very large step at a time. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
Well, now let's turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go as we get things started out there this morning. High pressure continues to keep us quiet out there after we saw some gusty winds yesterday. It will be a nice one, although hot, as we'll see high temperatures today in the low 90s. Humidity levels will stay down for now. Later on this week, that will be a different story. As we do zoom things out, some precipitation further down toward the south and also to the west, but for us, it is nice and quiet out there. Futurecast moving forward today, we will have some clouds further down toward the south and west. Some of those may skirt Bangor, but again, we'll go with a partly cloudy sky today and again later on tonight. So for today, here's what we're looking at. Low 90s out there under a partly cloudy sky. It will be a hot one with that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour, so not much of a wind out there today. Later on tonight, we have low 60s out there, partly cloudy with the wind overall looking nice and calm. The hourly forecast moving forward, lots of sunshine, some clouds out there with temperatures making it into the 90s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Janessa?
Thank you, Devin. Well, now for the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Melissa Adon.
Oi, welcome back.
Ted Lasso is back on the small screen today. The first episode of season 4 is out on Apple TV, with the rest of the episodes releasing weekly. This season follows Jason Sudeikis' Ted as he coaches a women's soccer team. Bowen Yang is heading to the stage to join the cast of Oh Mary. The former SNL star will make his debut as Mary Todd Lincoln on September 15th. The comedy play reimagines the former First Lady as a wannabe cabaret star. Organizations funded by Leonardo DiCaprio and Jeff Bezos have launched a $200 million initiative to revive 100 of Earth's most threatened species. DiCaprio's Rewild and the Bezos Earth Fund are leading the Phoenix Species Project, which they call the largest single fund in history exclusively dedicated to the effort. And happy birthday to director James Gunn, who turned 60 today. That's what's happening in Hollywood. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Well, still to come here this morning, Max Sturm with sports. Don't go away.
You're driving down the road, and out of nowhere, boom! You're hurt in a car accident. Now you've got expensive medical bills, lost earnings, and you've got to deal with that insurance company. The problems just keep piling up. When you call the twos, I'll handle all of those problems. All you have to do is get better while I work to get you paid. Hurt in a car accident, I'm on top of it. I'm your go-to guy.
Call 222-2222.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
When outdoors, some people like it hot and some people like it cold. However, when indoors, most people like it comfortably warm. Consider a Rinnai direct vent wall furnace from McCusick Petroleum Company to provide you with comfortable and efficient heat. They also offer sales and service on many brands of furnaces, boilers, and water heaters. McCusick Petroleum Company delivers oil and LP gas to homes and businesses throughout the Pequot region. If you'd like more information on pricing or service, call or stop by our office in Dover Foxcroft.
ABC 7 and Fox 22's Jack Webb named Maine's Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association.
Welcome back in, folks. The Maine football team has made immense progress over the last few seasons, in large part thanks to players and coaches who have fully decided to buy in. Jack Webb spoke with one of those crucial players on Tuesday.
Yeah, anytime you have really good tackles and being a really good tackle, I think it makes your life a lot easier.
Redshirt junior offensive lineman Anthony Iliano has been a rock for the Maine Black Bears over the past 2 seasons as they've continued to take steps forward as a program.
A lot of times as an offensive line coach, you worry about your tackles more than anything, protecting the edges, and when you're not thinking about your tackles as much, it's usually a pretty good thing. But Ant brings a lot of stuff. He's an extremely diverse style of player. He can do athletic things. He can do power things.
Maybe more important than his play on the field, Iliano has also been a rock off the field by reinforcing the culture, which is something he takes pride in.
I said the biggest thing I've been trying to improve on this year, I've been trying to be a great leader to not only the offensive line room, but to the whole team in general, you know, holding guys accountable. And a big thing is just bringing energy every day, competing.
You know, in this day and age, to find young people who are bold enough to stand for something and speak up and show how much they care, that's hard to find. And we have a bunch of those guys. I would say Anthony is at the top of that list.
What else is rare in this day and age of college football? Continuity. The 2025 second-team all-conference selection and 2026 third-team preseason All-American selection chose the Black Bears again this offseason. With Iliano's resume, most players would have hit the infamous transfer portal in pursuit of a new opportunity. Iliano instead doubled down.
One, I believe in the players we have in this team. I believe in the coaches, and I believe in what we've been working towards. I wouldn't come back if I didn't believe that we can truly do something special here. I mean, this is such a close team, and not only that, but I truly believe that we can go on and have a great winning season. And I'm fully bought into what culture we have building here.
I think that goes back to the selflessness piece. Is just he has a way with his teammates, and he loves his teammates, and he loves the University of Maine. And I think being able to make a hard decision like that at such a young age speaks a lot to his character and the person that he is.
He will lead the Black Bears onto the field Thursday, August 27th at Towson for their first game of the season. From Orono, Jack Webb, ABC 7, Fox 22 Sports.
All right, some exciting news for local soccer fans. The Portland Hearts of Pine soccer team is getting a huge stadium upgrade. WGME's Julia Simone reports.
Fitzpatrick Stadium, where about 6,000 fans can pack the stands for tomorrow's match. But the club's new stadium would nearly double that capacity, accommodating up to 11,000 fans.
The tremendous success of our first season caused us to accelerate the timeline.
With the game of soccer growing in the U.S., so is the Portland Hearts of Pine soccer team. The club currently has a men's team that plays at Fitzpatrick Stadium. But that site is outgrowing their club's needs, with many fans already on a wait list for season tickets. They are now looking to build a permanent home for the club's men and soon-to-be women's team on the city's working waterfront.
We've put Maine firmly on the American soccer map. From being named America's buzziest new soccer team, SportsCenter features, and jerseys shipped to all 50 states and around the world.
The stadium will hold between 9,000 to 11,000 fans at Portland's Cassidy Point. There will also be public waterfront access, shops, and an indoor sports facility. The team says the project will be mostly privately funded and costs are expected to exceed $50 million.
We want supporters to be even closer to the field, without a track separating them. We want there to be more capacity, and we want that supporter section, which is already the rowdiest and the best in the entire league, to be bigger and to have more room for people.
Right now, Cassidy Point is home to a large industrial coal pile next to the jetport, which by city ordinance has to be moved by 2030 anyway. The team hopes to trade the coal site for a new pitch, and they say they're in talks for parking and are encouraging fans to walk, bike, or use public transit to get to matches.
We'd be required to apply for a major site plan permit. This is where the city would review the project in consideration of things like traffic, parking, utility infrastructure, stormwater runoff, lighting, and more.
Again, the project is still in the very early stages of planning. The team says they hope to start construction next year and have the stadium built by 2029.
Okay, for those of you who missed it, the Red Sox went crazy ahead of Monday's trade deadline and acquired several big pieces as the team looks to continue towards a playoff run. Blockbuster of the day came in the form of trading for Baltimore Orioles switch-hitting catcher Adley Rutschman, a three-time All-Star who gives the Red Sox an immediate upgrade at the catching position. With big trades come big prices, and for Boston, that meant sending over catcher Carlos Narvaez and prospects Anthony Ayson, Kyson Witherspoon, and Endy Azokar to Baltimore. The Sox also acquired left-handed reliever Eric Miller from the Giants for Marcelo Meyer, and outfielder Eli White comes over from Atlanta. Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow says adding guys like Adley to the team at the deadline was important to him because the players and the fans deserve to see the team make aggressive moves before postseason baseball begins.
This team has demonstrated just an incredible resilience and relentlessness, and put itself, kind of firmly in the playoff picture. And they deserved, and our fans deserve, our efforts, the efforts from the front office to try and find ways to make it better.
All right, to make room for Eli White and Eric Miller, the Red Sox DFA'd bullpen arm Ryan Watson and optioned utility player Romy Gonzalez to AAA. That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Invest in your nest with the County Federal Credit Union. Your home has grown in value season after season. With the county's 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, you can borrow up to your credit limit over 10 years with interest-only payments over those 10 years, 10-10. And then you can stop and smell the roses, soak up the sun, and invest in your nest. The 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, the County Federal Credit Union, countyfcu.org.
Disturbing news about threats of violence against women. Is it Graham Plattner again? No, it's Troy Jackson. When a female legislator disagreed with Jackson, he threw a water bottle at her in anger. The woman was deeply frightened. Jackson was known for bullying, and his screaming felt like intentional intimidation. His brash conduct with women raised alarm bells about his temperament. Troy Jackson, another phony we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
Welcome back, everyone. A man from Greenville is putting one foot in front of the other on a journey meant to help children he may never meet. Nathaniel Douglas is walking hundreds of miles from central Maine to Boston, raising money for Boston Children's Hospital. Our Alex Schley shares more.
About 240.
That's the number of miles Greenville native Nathaniel Douglas will walk over the coming weeks, all to raise money for Boston Children's Hospital.
And I think people think they can't do anything, but I'm by no means a special guy. I'm just some dude from the middle of Maine And if I can do this, I think people can change things in their everyday life and hopefully touch their neighbors, touch their communities.
Douglas began his journey in Bangor on Tuesday, and this isn't his first time overcoming a challenge to help local kids in need. In 2013, Douglas and his brother made a similar walk.
We had like no resources. We didn't even have smartphones. I had like Google Maps printed out on paper.
A couple years later, he faced his own battle.
Early 20s, I ended up having like a non-cancerous tumor that was just in like kind of a gnarly spot in my noggin.
Douglas's friend and co-worker at Northern Light Mayo Hospital, Jacob Beckwith, joined Douglas on the first day of his walk.
If there's anybody that I know that can do it, it's Nathaniel Douglas. You know, he's done great things.
And while the walk will test his endurance, he expects the finish line to be the hardest part.
And they're gonna give me like one of those big fake checks to like hand off. And then there's like, dude, they're gonna get me crying on camera. There's like, yeah, there's some families that like wanna meet you and stuff. Oh, that's so nice. And I was like, you're gonna make me cry. Don't do that, please.
For Douglas, the goal isn't just to raise money. He says it's to show ordinary people can do extraordinary things one step at a time. To support Douglas's walk and his fundraiser for Boston Children's Hospital, go to our website, foxbangor.com. I'm Alex Schley reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, we wish him the best of luck, and we'll definitely be joining him on that journey and hearing more about that. Well, now here's meteorologist Devin Biggs with our full weather forecast.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go. Checking out the wave heights this morning. Not too bad at all, at around 2 feet. According to the buoys, and even farther off towards the north and east, not looking too bad. No advisories along the coast or even inland either. Farther out towards sea, not horrible either, at around 4 to 5 feet. Water temperatures checking on those this morning in the lower to middle 60s. Further off towards the north and east, not too bad either. A little bit cooler and a little bit further off towards the north and east, some 60s and even some 70s. Farther down toward the north, south, and even to the east as well. Meanwhile, on land, nice and quiet outside this morning. The winds have backed off as well, and we will have a lot of sunshine, a few passing clouds today as well. It will be a hot one out there today too, although not as humid out there yet. We will see the humidity levels increasing coming up later on this week. Notice we do have a system across parts of the Midwest this morning. Futurecast for us, we are going to be seeing some clouds passing through the region today. Then later on tonight, we will see a few more clouds approaching later on with an area low pressure not far away, but no precipitation with that at this time. As we head towards your Thursday, sunshine and some clouds as well, still continuing to remain dry. As we do push forward, checking out the muggy meter. Again, dew points staying down for now, but gradually increasing later today. Also into Thursday, it's Friday. We really notice the difference with humid air Friday and a Saturday, and the 70s down slightly Sunday, but still up there. And then Monday back into the middle to upper 60s. Already as we move forward toward today, partly cloudy and hot with highs in the low 90s, and that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, low 60s. All right, partly cloudy with the wind overall looking nice and calm. All right, another hot one tomorrow with middle 90s, partly cloudy, and that southwest wind at about 5 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast for your Friday. Partly cloudy, a slight chance for a shower or storm with highs in the low 90s. Then middle 80s, we cool off Saturday with a chance for showers and thunderstorms. And then Sunday, showers and thunderstorms with highs in the upper 80s.
Susan Collins broke her promise to protect Roe v. Wade. When Donald Trump called, she cast the deciding vote for his Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe v. Wade. And she voted to put more than 100 Trump judges on the bench. States are banning abortion without exceptions, and women are dying. But Susan Collins says,
I do not regret that vote.
Tell Susan Collins to stop breaking her word. Stop voting for Trump's anti-choice judges.
Fire, water, storm damage, and even mold. We take care of you from cleanup to construction 24/7. When disaster strikes, tell your insurance company you want Penobscot Cleaning Services.
Your internet experience feels different, ultra reliable, lightning fast. With Fidium 100% fiber, everything you do online works exactly like it should.
Bye, bud.
Zach, go to bed. So is cable internet still slowing you down? Enough already. Fiber up to Fidium. Get a 2 gig plan for only $65 a month at FidiumFiber.com.
Rennie's a main adventure.
Get ready for back to school. Rennie's just got in a new shipment of Carhartt pants.
Don't forget your long sleeve tees, your hats, and sweatshirts at Rennie's best prices.
Thank you for shopping Rennie's.
Wednesday, K-pop sensation Yeonjun brings his first solo performance only to GMA. And get this, to Central Park. It's a K-pop party in the park with Yeonjun on Good Morning America's Summer Concert Series, sponsored by Norwegian Cruise Line.
A historic home goes up for sale, and owning it might send you to the moon and back with nostalgia. The boyhood home of Apollo 11 astronaut Neil Armstrong, the first human to walk on the moon in 1969, is going on the housing market in Ohio. The home is a key influence on the future astronaut who grew up in it and made model planes and took flying lessons while being nurtured by the cozy atmosphere. The home has been carefully preserved to feature its character in the Armstrong years, while also containing featured Armstrong and other space memorabilia. Armstrong co-astronaut Buzz Aldrin has also visited that house. The asking price for the home is $430,000. Its current owner, Karen Mikesell, says that when she bought it, she didn't know its history, and now she says she's ready to part with it to let someone else feel the joy of a connection to American history. And while the house isn't legally protected from changes, its historical significance remains, and Mikesell's hope is that someone will buy it and donate it to the Armstrong Museum. Neil Armstrong died in 2012 at the age of 82. Well, meanwhile, capybaras roam the halls of Brazil's Legislative Assembly building. The semi-aquatic animals that have taken over social media and the world by storm took a quick waltz through the building in the central western state of Mato Grosso. Video shows those animals, which are the world's largest rodents, slowly meandering through the hallways. The civil servant who filmed the video is heard gently coaxing the capybaras towards the building exit. The Legislative Assembly is nearby an urban park, which is a hotspot for capybaras and other wildlife as well. Sightings of the highly social animals around the government complex are common. Capybaras are native to South America. They reside in rivers, lakes, and wetlands and can weigh as much as 175 pounds. Well, that's all the time that we have left for this hour, but you can join us for the second hour of Good Morning Maine. That's next on Fox 22. Have a great day, everyone.
The Farmer's Table in Corinna brings...
Heard this before. Too many times. Tired of being customer 45978? Yeah, we would be too. Speed means fast uploads, no lag, and zero buffering. But it also means calling you back, showing up on time, and treating you like a person, not a problem. So whether you're working, streaming, gaming, or all three, it is time to make the switch to a provider that actually tries. Go NetSpeed. Service isn't dead. It just moved local.
John Brown first opened his own appliance store in Ellsworth in 1976. With his gift of storytelling, a strong work ethic, and a philosophy of putting others first, John and his wife and children saw the business prosper and grow. Today's third and fourth generation of family and their entire team continue to follow the example set by their grandparents and parents. Brown Appliance and Mattress, High Street, Ellsworth, a family tradition of quality, value, and customer service that always puts you first.
Some days start with busted belts and bruised knuckles. But out here, fixing things is just part of the ride. No matter what I'm doing, I have just the right tool close by. Then it's time to unwind and catch your breath, or maybe dinner. From fixing it right to living it fully, Coastal Auto Parts and Milwaukee Packout Systems help me get to the moments that matter most with the people that matter more.
Think you're good at trivia? Arrange these holidays, these historic firsts, these animals. By the way,
I have no idea.
congratulations! You have built the perfect line! I'm Deborah Norville, and this is the perfect line.
Onion rings before, in between onion rings and pizza.
Definitely after. Oh, this is what happy looks like.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Good Morning Maine on WFVX, Fox 22. From the Great North Woods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, an RV was destroyed in a fire yesterday at Two Narrows Campground in Trenton. We'll have the details on that coming up. Plus, Volunteer Maine's 40th Annual Leadership Conference included an announcement to a new grant that supports statewide volunteering efforts. And Penquis, along with Heart of Maine United Way, hosted their Fill the Bus Backpack Drive. We'll bring you more on that as well. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop. Craig Colson is off for the day. We'll have those stories and much more coming up in the show, but as always, we thank you for joining us. Now for the weather, we'll have sunny skies and pretty hot temperatures throughout the day today. Let's start off this morning by getting a first check of our forecast. Devin Biggs joins us now.